We're recording. Welcome everybody back to Heather's journey. What's today? The 5th of January?
My goodness.
I want to mark it because we're going to talk about the solstice, and that's one thing that's good general information for everybody is no matter what holidays you celebrate or practices you do or observances or whatever, during the solstice in December, it's usually some intense stuff happening somewhere, somehow. Yeah, so the holidays is intense for so many people for so many different reasons, and yeah, to be expected. And the darkness can help us, in the northern hemisphere, the darkness of that time can help us learn how to shine our light a little bit more brighter, a little bit more authentically. The darkness serves a lot of purposes during that time, so we'll talk about that in Sacred Circle since that's more of a topic for that. But yeah, Heather's got some updates. She was just talking about the value of watching her last session before she started this. So you want to start with that?
Yeah. So, our last session, so actually there are a couple of realizations from before that I'll mention first, some clarity that I've gotten from a previous session where we did the I Ching reading, which I think might have been the first one that we recorded for this series.
Maybe. And that was through the 21st.
That was through for the solstice. And well, actually, I had a realization that goes a little bit further back than that I'll mention first. So I just realized that when we started this whole thing, this is going back to pretty close to the beginning of the year, actually, when we first started really focusing more on the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies. My masculine energy was so out of balance, and I was doing so much of this clawing action of creation. And the universe really, and I recognized that was, because we started working on that masculine feminine energy, I started realizing that was an out of balance action, and the universe really has worked over this past year to shift my circumstances completely. So it really has forced me to move into the feminine energy of waiting and receiving and feeling intuitively into things. And anytime that I tried to grasp out of fear of, support and safety and circumstances, it wouldn't pan out. It wouldn't flow. It just would not. And I was forced to go, okay, all right. So, and I've noticed that oftentimes, and I don't think it's happened every time, but oftentimes I've noticed that when I start off in one extreme of an imbalance, and actually my kind of co-creative partner right now has realized this as well, that oftentimes you'll swing for a period of time to the complete opposite spectrum for a while until you come back to center. And so I noticed not only did that happen with my circumstances, like literally in my life with work and everything, that with that stuff I've been forced for almost a year to move steadily over into this waiting and receiving and just letting go and feeling into the intuitive, okay, what's next? And anytime that I started to get antsy and like, okay, I got to do something, the universe was like, nope. No.
Nope, Heather, you're just going to have to stand naked here while we strip away some more things that you thought were valuable and important and meant something that was, whatever. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, and I started to realize, like,
Thing.
okay, that's like the standing in my power. So then I watched the
Yes.
circle replay, and it was like, okay, this cauldron of like peeling away all of these things that you think you're giving your power away to all of these things that you think are going to keep you safe. And one by one, every single one of those things has been taken away. The universe has left me enough for me to be comfortable and get by. And outside of that, I lost my car, I lost my house. I don't have a home, a place to live. I'm living between two places that are not mine. And the vehicle that I was so worried about losing, I lost. The apartment that I was so worried about losing, I lost. The income that I was so worried about, like, I've got enough income to get me by to pay my next to nothing bills right now, like, but you know what? Like, that forced me to find my power, to realize that all of that just it's in me, right? Like, none of those things brings you anything. The relationship, even relationship wise, we look to relationships so often for our support and security. And, I was forced to stand in my power about what I want as far as that goes too. And so that was from the circle replay. I was like, oh my God, yes. That's what's yes.
So
But
yeah, and I just posted that thing that Natha wrote about, well, part of it's about the dancing with the divine, and allowing life to lead.
yeah.
But dancing, you don't go limp.
Right.
You don't
Right.
like,
You still put out that energy.
you still are doing the steps,
You're
and you're
still
following the
co-creative.
lead of what spirit is telling you. Like, okay, go here, check out this. This is something to look at. This is something not to look at anymore.
Right.
Closing
Right.
that door. Here's some doors that are opening. Yeah.
Right.
So another big piece of that is how we look for outside of ourselves for validation and comfort.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. And that's the habit, because when we were children, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get here and you're just like, help. You're looking around to the people around you and you're like, help me.
But one of the best quotes I've ever heard is that a child doesn't become an adult until they become self-authorized.
Right. And so we have to also cancel clear all those old habits of seeking that validation and that comfort and that, emotional support and that all those things that, really the people didn't give us, that, they didn't give it to us what we needed. None of us got what we needed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
To varying degrees. There
Right.
are varying degrees to that. But so it's all about coming back and finding that that there is a source inside us all that is not there. The well, man didn't build the well.
Yeah.
Man just does the work to tap into the source.
Yeah.
Right? We have to maintain the well. We have to keep our vessel, clear and healthy and, as possible.
Right.
But
so that it can be that receptacle.
Right. And so that we can connect with our
right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the statement that I balanced right before we got ready to do this was, I release the need for outside validation and seek only synchronistic confirmation.
Yeah. Yep. That's all we need.
And that feeling of that, we know when it's synchronicity. We know when it's something, it's air quotes outside of ourselves.
Yeah. Right? You can feel it.
Sometimes it's a feeling, but when it's outside of you, you feel it in here too. When you see it, when you hear it, when you experience it, when it's a thing, it's synchronistic confirmation that this is it. But all the external validation is just that fake shit that we think we need.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is right.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've been forced to get really in tune with over the past year is that intuitive guidance and looking at the synchronicities of the universe and just looking for those, because in the situation that I'm in right now, I have a lot of people who really love me who are like, what are you going to do? Because right now I'm only driving Uber for income, and that is creating, you know, a few $100s a month in income. It barely covers gas, groceries, and my car payment, you know? And so, but on the other hand, I just filed for bankruptcy, so I can't have a whole lot coming in because anything extra would go towards paying bills. So it's actually perfect. But I've got some people who are looking at me going, okay, what's the next step? What are you going to do to get on your feet? Like, what are you going to do? Okay, like you've got, now it's time to
And
figure
I
it out.
can feel the fear that they're trying to transmit
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. And I'm like, listen, I can
see them talk
yeah.
about it.
And I can
Like,
see
Heather, you should be
where
afraid right now. Why are you not
Yeah.
afraid?
Yeah, why aren't you doing something? Why aren't you doing something? And I'm like, no. My mom's like, well, maybe it's time to look at getting a regular job. And I'm like, no, Mom, like, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think the same way that you do. My perspective is not the same. And I got deeper into it with my kind of co-creative partner about where I'm at, because here's the other thing, you know, we had done that I Ching reading through the end of the solstice. And the I Ching reading was like, take the time to prepare before the journey. And then there's going to be the journey, and then you have to take time to rebuild after. And in our last session, I had discussed that I felt like there was some resistance to connecting to people, and also some resistance to kind of my practices and things like that. And what I realized is that since then, because we balanced the statement on it being safe to do that, and I still haven't gotten back into my routines and stuff, but what I've realized is it's not resistance right now. Right now is that time of rebuilding and reconnecting with myself. So what's happening is actually, and I mean, I even noticed, you know, I came and hung out with you the other night, and I noticed usually I would have been a social butterfly and, like, you know, found conversation to have with like everybody. And right now I'm in such an inward state that I am not guided to even create those conversations. So much of my energy is inward right now to kind of just allow space for that time to rebuild and reconnect, that I'm not putting that energy outside unnecessarily right now at all.
Yeah.
Which is, it's an interesting thing because it's not conscious. It's something that's just, you know, but I'm realizing that that's what's happening. It's not actually.
Yeah, you're observing. Yes, right on.
I thought that it was a resistance to it. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready for that. But it's not. It's not a. I've been feeling like, oh, this is that kind of rebuilding time, and I need to actually embrace it and give myself that time. And it's not time for me to take action and start rebuilding. It's not time for me to take action to create yet. I'm still in that phase.
You're still retiling the well. That's how the I Ching describes that situation.
Yeah.
You're retiling the well, which is an important part of all of our processes.
Yeah.
We all need to do that, you know, really all the time. We need to do self-care, but there's certain times when we really need to circle the wagons and work on that.
And I can feel that the time is getting closer for me to take that action. And the confirmation of that was that it was finally in alignment for me to watch the circle replay on Friday. And when I did watch that circle replay, it was, my truth bomb was meditate before you activate. And I haven't been meditating. And I was like, oh shit, of course I need to start. Yeah, of course I need to like start my practices again, my journaling and my meditating. And of course I need to do that. And of course I need to do that before I start a creative process. You know, like I need to make sure that I'm in that connected state with my higher power. So, and then, you know, we went through the guidance and inspiration for shining our light in that grounding exercise. And I got so much from the circle, from the I Ching reading that you did in the circle. But once we got to that step, I was like, nothing. And I feel like, I don't know if it's because I'm still rebuilding or if maybe it is time to start feeling into that. Like I'm feeling like maybe it's time to start tentatively like starting to lay some bricks for that, but not like, you know, I feel like I'm kind of in a transition period right now. But another thing from our last session, because our goal was self-appreciation and nurturing during that session, and between that time and right now, I actually embodied the understanding of how it wasn't this outside, like, oh, I need this time for myself, but I'm not taking it. I really was like, oh my God, no, like, I yearn for this. Like, this is something I actually like, I like deeply in myself. Yes, I need this. Oh my God. Like, I actually don't even want a life where I can't do this thing. Like, realizing how important it is. And I've realized a lot of things about like interdependent relationships and kind of how that works for you, creating space for each other to kind of have your own lives as well. But so just kind of, you know, after we cleared that statement, I haven't been taking that time still yet, because I haven't really stepped back into the meditation and journaling and all of that stuff. But I'm really realizing the understanding of that. And then also just the, you know, not only the balancing of that masculine and feminine thing. Another thing that we had discussed was the listening, which I had brought up in our last session also. Listening not to respond, which is another, that was like an imbalance of the masculine expression. It was an imbalance.
An imbalance of the feminine.
It's an imbalance in the feminine, but part of it was a masculine thing of like
trying to fix or something.
Trying to fix. And trying to fix and like you have something to prove almost too. So but I realized that there are so many of those sorts of things, like listening, and also we had also talked about in a previous session the dance that we do with, and we just mentioned it earlier too, with the co-creative process of allowing it to lead in that feminine expression of following for that. So there's been so much right now in balancing the feminine expression in so many levels that the universe is like, wait. And things are still not flowing. Financially, things are still not flowing. Even the money that I do earn is like going out in these different places, and I'm having to like, wait a minute, like, where is it going? Like, what's happening here?
I'm going to call your attention to the story you just told of you can't make that much right now because you're doing the bankruptcy thing. And you know, you got to remember, you can't do both. You can't, you know, I've talked to so many people, and I had this thought once when I was like renewing my kids' chip or something. And we were, you know, we had just made goals to like make more than what the limit was. And I was like, okay, we have a decision to make. Like, we're going to give this up, all these benefits, right, that are helpful for my family. We have to give those up if we're planning on, you know, our financial.
And I'm in a transition right now where
it's an energetic, issue.
It's a transition for me right now because I'm creating a blank slate so that I can thrive. So I recognize, and I'm fully comfortable with the amount of comfort that I have right now.
With the waiting.
And waiting just a few months for this process, because I'm literally shedding like $70,000 in debt to get just a completely clean slate. Right. So I'm totally like, I'm good with that. But the money that I have, even to just pay the bills that I've got, because I'm still focused so much, and I know that it's because I'm focused on it. And so, you know, it'll be like, I'm going to run away over here for just a few minutes just to stress you out. I'm going to come back, but there's going to be this weird fucking thing that's going to happen with it before you can pay your bill.
Okay, like, so it's like a yo-yo. Is it like a yo-yo that's like, that you'll have that totally with these physical, material, you know, money is one of the, you know, things in the physical realm that is
my relationship has done it
that way.
My relationship has done it too. But here's the thing. I recognized, because of what I did with the relationship, and just was like, okay, listen, okay. Like, all right, well, I'm just going to, everything will be fine. And of course it was. And then I realized also with the money, the less that I'm like, wait, where did you go? Come back here. Like when you chase it, it runs away. That's kind of happens with everything, right? So the more that you're just like, well, whatever, it'll be fine.
More will come. Yeah. More will come.
Yeah.
More is coming.
Yes.
So we got to pay attention to that present tense.
Yeah. Yeah. The more that I focus any kind of negative energy or focus on the negative thing that's happening, the more it creates it. Highest energy always wins, right? So the more that you just let go of it and are like, listen, I know it's going to be fine. And that's what you get.
Yep.
So anyways.
So what are we working on today?
Yeah. So that's kind of all of my understandings. So I have had a really beautiful mirror to steps in shining my light and the way that that's going to look as far as my presentation of it.
Okay, so let's change the tense. How shining my light is looking.
Right. Yeah, it really, yeah, how it is looking. So basically, you know, in conversations that I have with those around me, my co-creative partners, it's been, you know, I've been really examining, you know, I've been, gosh, okay, so it was pointed out to me. I really didn't think this through before we so now I'm having to find the word.
Well, so pause a second, because it's funny when we just switched gears to what are we working on today. What I heard was muscle test some stuff and then go from there. So I was going to kind of see what you said, and then now that's confirmation for me that we're going to muscle test a few things.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
for
we're going to
sure.
see what comes up, because I think, yeah. No.
So basically I'm getting,
we're muscle testing.
I'm looking at my teaching style. It's been pointed out to me that some things I embrace and some things I'm like, okay, like, you know, it was pointed out that I do some things as a teacher already. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's, of course, that's natural and normal. Like I'll in a conversation, some things that I understand about how this works, when I discuss it, the person that was telling me about this was like, you say it as though like you're sort of like a teacher, like and I was like, well, that's because that's kind of the role that.
Right. So time out though. We got a muscle test first.
Okay.
Right. So it's safe and appropriate for me to be the surrogate for Heather. Safe and appropriate for Heather to have me be the surrogate. Okay. So the most appropriate practice for Heather at this time is to do energy psychology balances on individual statements. Okay, so I'm getting a no on that. The most appropriate approach is a spiritual healing technique. Okay, so that's testing strong.
Okay.
Let's see. Corridor meditation. I need to probably just get my list out. Let me pause so I can get my list.